part of the initiative. And we have today the privilege to have as a guest speaker Carolina Buitrago. You find Carolina also in the fifth week, during the fifth week of our video session, because she's going to moderate the Experts Forum in week 5. So thank you, Carolina, for accepting our invitation, our double invitation as a speaker and for so Carolina is from Colombia. She's been an ESL teacher for over 15 years. She has a lot of masters and undergraduate degrees, and in education technology and she has a long experience as a teacher trainer, also in the field of technologies, and she has recently won Best Education Award on flipping English learning, which is just the topic of our session today, flipping your classroom. So thank you, Carolina, and the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Leticia and Daniela, for the echo. Yeah, okay, let me see what I can fix here. I'll try to reduce a little bit this, maybe. Okay, just give me 1 second so we can fix it so you don't hear that. Is it better now? Okay, I'm trying to. Okay, so I reduced the echo right there. Great, perfect. So once again, thank you, Leticia and Daniela, for this invitation. It's always a pleasure to collaborate with people in Italy. This is really exciting for me. So thank you very much. I am, as Leticia mentioned, I am a professor in Institución Universitaria Colombo-Americana, UNICA, in Bogotá, Colombia. I live and work here, and I have all my life. I work with flipped learning, basically, that is my area of expertise. I am an English teacher for an ESL context. You know, Colombia is an ESL context, so we have a similar situation. Okay, I hear echo once again. Don't fix that up. Okay, let's hope it works. So I've been working on project-based learning and also flipped learning, which seem to be logical partners. And also with CLIL, you know, it seems to be a logical partner as well. So my idea is to integrate the three of them in this session for you today. So something that I like to always think about is how we always get, you know, tired of doing the same thing over and over. So that's why I think magic happens outside of our comfort zone. It is only when we are willing to change our ways, when we are willing to try new things and to mix things up, that magic happens to our students. So that's why I propose this amalgamation between flipped learning, CLIL, and project-based learning. You hear voices? That's okay, Vanessa.
Cover today are these 4 points. First of all, flipped learning overview, very basic, because I know that's not your area of expertise. Anyway, we also have a flipped learning Evo session. So if you're interested in just dropping by, lurking, and learning a little bit more about flipped learning, you are more than welcome. Also, I would like to
talk about the amalgamation between CLIL and flipped learning. Project-based learning as a concept, we're going to watch a video, a very short video for you to kind of get a sense of what this is and how you can use it in your own classroom. And also we are going to talk about flipping CLIL to project some ideas. Okay, so let's get started with the flip learning overview. So I'm going to give you 30 seconds to read the official definition of flipped learning coined by the Flipped Learning Network in 2014. So if you can take some time to read that would be great. Okay, so there are a lot of words. Let's see what it means in a picture. All right, so direct instruction moves to the individual space. Then the group space is transformed. Notice how we don't say homework, classroom, or classwork anymore. So it's basically individual space because it can happen in the home of the student or at school or in other place, an internet cafe or something. And then the group space, because it's whenever the students are together with the teacher, it doesn't have to be in a classroom, it can be somewhere else too. So a laboratory, a computer lab, a classroom, or even a classroom. So teachers become guides on the site. That's important. That's something that we have to our heads when we want to flip. Our role changes dramatically. And then students engage creatively in the subject matter. So if you're a CLIL educator and your area of expertise is science or math or art, your students will be engaging creatively in that content that you are trying to teach. So this is what the flipped classroom looks like. In a traditional classroom, the instructor prepares material to be delivered in class. The instructor stands up in front of the class to deliver lectures, and students listen, normally passively to what the teacher is trying to say, kind of like what we are doing now. And then homework is assigned to demonstrate understanding. So students are supposed to be working on their own at home with the resources that the teacher gave them while in class. In a flipped classroom, on the other hand, the instructor records and shares lectures outside of class. I'm trying to fix the echo, but I can't. So students watch and listen to lectures before coming to class. And class time is devoted to applied learning activities and more higher order thinking activities in class. So even though you might think that flipped learning is a trend, it is not. It is a pedagogical approach that can be used in any educational setting and is going to change the way you teach and the way students learn. if direct instruction moves out of the classroom. Exactly. Students are held accountable. Here we have the two pioneers of flipped learning, Aaron Sams and John Bergman. They were chemistry teachers, so those chemistry teachers out there can relate. And they asked us this critical question for flipped learning: what is the best use of my face-to-face class time? What do students need me for? Yeah, so that's basically what we have to ask ourselves when flipping any classroom. So in flipped learning, imagine this is Bloom's taxonomy, yeah, Krathwohl revised version. So outside of class, what we do is the lower tiers of Bloom's taxonomy. Remembering and understanding would happen outside of class by means of lectures, other materials, papers, etc. And then in class, we can have students do the higher order thinking skills that are applying, creating, evaluating, and analyzing. Sometimes students don't like the flipped classroom because they are held responsible for a lot and they are not used to it. They want to lay back, and wait for learning to happen thanks to the teacher. But you can fight that, I promise. I'm gonna try to get out what they are saying. I was saying that sometimes students don't want the flipped classroom because So what does that mean for CLIL? Like, you CLIL teachers, what do you think you can do with this? With especially, I'm gonna go back to the last slide, to Bloom's taxonomy. In your CLIL classroom, can students understand and remember some concepts, maybe the content concept or the language concept, outside of class before coming into your classroom, and then apply some more higher order thinking skills? Create, do some projects and evaluate. Well, for me, this seems logical. Like, we can just do this with CLIL and any other area of knowledge that we would like to work with. So what it means for CLIL, in my opinion, this is something that I just have thought about, is that yes, it's absolutely doable because students in a CLIL setting are going to need to be prepared, in terms of language for learning, language through learning, and language of learning. So we can have that as part of what we want to offer to students. Also, in the classroom, students need to do projects, simulations, storytelling, and other different things that are going to give you as teachers clarity of what they can and cannot do with the language at some point and the content. So first of all, I would like us to go to this Padlet. If you to the chat, and you can go what project-based learning is for you. I'm going to give you the link in a second. So if you all could please go to that link, just open up a new browser. There we go. Yeah, you can go to that Padlet and write what you understand by project-based learning. I'm pretty sure some of you already use it in your classroom. And we can all go there and check. In this website, website, you can just double click anywhere to set up your message. Okay, I hear some noise, but that's not coming from me. That noise is not coming from me, so someone has their microphone open. I'm hearing like a movie. Someone is watching a movie, and so we can hear all of it. Can you turn off
See them as some kind
your
of
mic?
second coming or sign of they believe that tens of thousands of years ago, an ancient being was born in the world first.
You are all legitimate and you lost because you followed blind leaders. But I am here now. I'm here for you.
For this being, he always had war followers he would imbue with power.
Like the four horsemen of the apocalypse.
You guys being in Italy, but anyway, we can then write on the pad on the chat what you think project-based learning is. Just let's work on the chat. Yeah, I don't hear the movie anymore, so that's good. So if anyone can, yeah, it's an empty wall. You can just double click anywhere to put on your comment. Double click anywhere on the wall to put on your comment. Okay, now it's better. Okay. Okay, so write in the chat, Teresa, that's okay. Write on the chat. Okay, it's a great teaching and learning approach, says Angela Maria, or Angela Maria. Thank you very much. Anyone else has an idea of what project-based learning is? Teacher is supervisor, okay. PBL is a way to work starting from a real question and having groups of students working in order to find an answer. Fabulous. Fabulous, thank you for that. That's exactly what it is. Okay, so we are going to check, thank you so much. We are going to see a video. Leticia, if you could help me with that. That's the video of BIE, which is the Bach Institute for Education, which is the most, let's say, the most robust project-based learning institution. So can you help me with that, Leticia, so that they can watch the video? Place the link also to see if it works.
I'm trying to, so sorry for the problems. Of course, technical problems were not due to my microphone. It was not me, so there was some problems in the platform, and I guess now it's also frozen. I can't start the video. I tried it before.
Okay. Yeah, I saw the video playing. That was good. But I'm putting the link, right there for teachers to just watch it if they can. If you can just grab the link and go, that'll be good. That'll be great too. Okay, great. So the link works. The link to the video works. Yes, watch it now, Sarah.
remember what it was like in school.
You could.
It was
Tried
boring.
to pass a test.
You sat in class, memorized as much as you could, and tried to pass a test at the end. But is that good enough? These days, school can be more interesting and effective by focusing students on work that matters. This is project-based learning explained.
Whether it's a job assignment,
Most adults live in a world of projects. Whether it's a job assignment, home improvement, or planning a wedding, we need to actively solve problems. But unfortunately, schoolwork looks more like this than this. Let's take a look at this project-based world. Meet Claire. She was recently presented with a challenge. Her company, Supersuds, makes soap. And it was up to her to find the most earth-friendly way to produce it in the future. Her boss gave her a budget and a few requirements, and it was up to her to come up with a solution. She organized and managed a team who researched the options and created materials summarizing the issues. Claire's team asked for feedback and presented their findings to the boss. Claire came out of the project looking like a rock star, and she learned a lot about green products. If you look closely, Claire's success involved critical thinking, collaboration, and communication, things that aren't often taught in traditional classrooms. The world needs more Claires, so how do we get them? The answer is project-based learning, or PBL. By focusing students on a project, teachers put them on a path that deepens their knowledge and builds skills they'll need in the future. Here's what I mean. Mr. Simmons has always been a good science teacher, and his students do well on Friday's tests. Unfortunately, what they learned was gone by Saturday morning. That wasn't good enough for him. Soon he learned about project-based learning and decided to give it a shot. Mr. Simmons got the idea for his first project on microorganisms when nearly half of his students were suddenly absent with the flu. He asked his students why they thought so many of their classmates got sick at the same time. That lively discussion produced a lot of good questions and a list of things the kids wanted to know. Mr. Simmons then announced their project was to help elementary school kids understand how can we not get sick. After dividing the class into teams, he got them started on the project. It was up to the students to ask questions, research, collaborate, give each other feedback, and figure out the best ways to make their points clear to children. One team chose to make an educational video on the connection between hand washing and avoiding the flu. Another chose to create posters to show how viruses spread. The project teams showed off their final work to an enthusiastic audience of parents and their children at a nearby elementary school. Sitting in the front row was our good friend and local rock star Claire, who saw a bit of herself in the students. It was clear that the project was a success for the students, the audience, and Mr. Simmons. His students practiced critical thinking, collaboration, and communication. The project wasn't about memorization, but learning in depth about viruses and how to prevent spreading disease, a lesson they will never forget. At the end of the presentation, Claire introduced herself to the students and told them that they were rock stars and that the world needs more people who can think like them. To learn more about project-based learning, go to BIE.
As you hear, well, the ones who could hear and watch the video without the echo, if you hear and check what they said on the video, when you hear the description of project-based learning, it sounds a lot like flipped learning, because in flipped learning, you open up the classroom space for students to do things, you know. In our case, in my context, I teach English as a foreign language. So what I try to do is to offer students opportunities to use the language in real life. So for example, in one of my classes last semester, what we did was to work on the 17 goals of sustainable development of the United Nations. And so what my students did, my students are future teachers. So what they did was to think about their classrooms and how in the future they plan to foster, knowledge about these 17 goals in their own students. So they had to think as a teacher, they had to think about the future, and they had to think and use English, not their first language, the language they're learning, in a meaningful way. So for that reason, I consider that project-based learning is a logical connection to CLIL and to flipped learning. So, as someone mentioned in the chat, the Buck Institute of Education, BIE, which is the most robust platform for project-based learning. If you're interested, that's the place to go to find rubrics, checklists, projects, etc. They propose the essential project design elements. And the important thing about projects is their design. Yeah. So we should have something. They make it in this picture of kind of a lens, a camera lens, because we have to tweak it. We have to tweak it to make it adjust to our context. So as someone said, we start with a challenging problem or question. So you CLIL teachers, think about it. What is the problem that you want your students to solve? Why do we get sick? Why do we get the flu all the time? Transportation problems in your country? Maybe animal manipulation. Should animals be held pets, wild animals? I don't know. You name it. You can think about millions and millions of things and questions that students need to solve. Then we do sustained inquiry. In my opinion, this part can be done by students on their own, in a flipped fashion, because they need to do research. So we can teach them to do research on their own, and we can use the classroom time to verify how much they learned based on what they did on their own. You can also prepare materials for them. So they do research, but they also combine with what you know and you provide as a teacher. Then we have authenticity. So now with the internet, and I am pretty sure in TechnoCLIL you have discussed amazing websites, amazing repertoires and inventories of different places where you can go for resources. Yeah, so authenticity is at the essence with internet nowadays. Then we have students' voice and choice. So that's a great thing about, projects. For example, let's say that you have a class magazine as your project. So you decide that everybody in the classroom is going to participate in the creation of a magazine about science, for instance. And so every student has a different role, But the important thing about this is that they have a voice and they can choose what they want to do and what their contribution, to the classroom magazine is going to be like. So something important about project-based learning is that real life functions in terms of projects. I mean, you don't go to your work every morning to answer multiple choice questions, do you? You don't go to your work every day to do quizzes. No, you go to your work, you sit down at your office to think about projects, to think about how you are going to make learning better for your students, how you are going to instill autonomy, how you are going to make them learn these science points. So life functions in projects. So if we offer this in our CLIL classroom, it's useful. Reflection. This is another great point that we need to include in education. Students need to think about their learning, metacognitively. Why did I do this right? Why did I do it wrong? What can I do to make it better? Yeah. Then we have critique and revision. This is something important. I try to teach my students because they are future teachers, So I try to teach my students to critique each other without criticizing, without destroying the other person, because they will be teachers and they need to give feedback in a good way. So we need to teach them and train them on how to do this. So this part seems to me like a very logical portion as well. And then we have a public product. This is the beautiful thing about projects. You have an artifact. You have something that you can show to the community. So be it a poster session, be it a magazine, be it a video show, be it a campaign, whatever you want to think about. Some people are mentioning in the chat, some great tools, like you can do a display on Edmodo, you can do a display on Blend Plus or something. You can show what you've been doing to the rest of your community. And this is something that makes students feel accountable for what they are learning and connects them to their own learning. So How do I conceive projects that have all the necessary skills and focus on learning and not only on a fun product? I know that sometimes this is kind of a mistake, that we focus on the product too much, but we forget the process, or we forget that the whole idea of this is to offer students the opportunity to learn in a process. Yeah? So what we can do is integrate the elements that we have at hand. So your textbook, I don't know if you have textbooks, maybe you do. CLIL, you can integrate the different C's in CLIL, content, culture, communication, and, oh my God, I forgot the fourth one. If you can help me, content, culture, communication, and, oh my God, the four C's. Cognition. Thank you so much, Luisa. Okay, we can also include tasks, tasks being mini projects, kind of little baby steps to get to that project. We can also include collaborative planning. That's so great for students to have a say in their learning. It's not the teacher prescribing what they are learning, but it's the teacher facilitating and having them make all the decisions. Then we have cross-curricular connections. I think for CLIL this is amazing. The CLIL teacher, either be the science teacher or social studies teacher or arts teacher, you can connect with the language teachers in your institution and make great things together. And internet, of course, we have to integrate everything we have at hand. That is one of the 21st century skills for teachers, that we are able to integrate and use everything that is available out there. So some principles, let's see. So if we think of a language project, for example, things that we do in language classrooms, we have a central theme, be it, for example, what I mentioned earlier, the 17 goals of the United Nations for Sustainable Development. Then we have the vocabulary that we need for that. We have the grammar structures, we have the cross-curricular links, finding the CLIL links there. We have the production, what is it that students are going to produce? What is the produce of the students during that project? We have resources that we need, and we have the functional language. So if you notice this, the right part also connects a lot to what you need to plan for a CLIL lesson. Yeah, it's no different to what you are already doing. Thank you, Fabiana. I think the slides are going to be available for you as well after the session. I'll make sure Leticia has them so you can have them if you want them. So projects should provide authentic practice of anything, real life material, provide a variety for students and teachers, integrate the four skills. That's what we call, in language teaching, we refer to reading, listening, speaking, and writing with the four skills. We have promote learner autonomy and collaboration. What I'm saying about students' voices and making decisions is crucial for projects to work. We have provide practice across the curriculum. A sensory-rich experience, whenever students can touch things, can smell things, can do things, they feel so much more excited and they are much more connected to their learning. So what do I see as CLIL versus projects? Like, I don't know, I put it like in a balance. And CLIL seems to be a method used to teach content through a foreign language, and projects are a way to expand and activate language taught in the foreign language. So for me, this seems to be like on a balance, but anyway, kind of the same thing. Like they belong together. I don't know if that makes any sense. Okay. However, projects and CLIL both integrate language and skills. They do that. They involve the use of functional language. In a CLIL lesson, we need to know what language we are going to use for explaining an experiment or explaining a geographical point. And in a project too, we need to have certain language for that. If I'm going to solve the problem of tiny housing, I need to know the vocabulary that I need for that, right? So, which is distracted by the topic being investigated or studied. We need to shift away from the language-driven approach by presenting and working in a natural, realistic content. So in any of the two, we are not focused on language only. We're focused on the big thing. So for example, another project that we made with my students that was actually very much fun was they created a video of graffiti and urban art in Bogota. So they went outside, they took pictures, they investigated the history of graffiti. They brought it to the classroom through a video, right? So they created a video um, narrating that, and we put it in our platform, and everybody watched it. And then we had a graffiti artist come into our classroom and talking to us about how his art was born. So it's great. I mean, you can do whatever you want. That's the beauty of this, mixing all of these things. Give children the opportunity to use English beyond the realms of the language class. I mean, using the language is the goal, but we don't use the language to use the language. We use the language to communicate. We use the language to persuade. So we need to provide our students these opportunities as well. Hello, Antonella. Provide a variety of stimuli for distinct learning styles, learners, and levels. This is something crucial. I don't know how the classrooms are in Italy. I would imagine very similar to Colombian classrooms. We can have different numbers of students ranging from 15 to 50, So we need to cater for all the different styles and all the different levels and learners that we have. And doing projects allows us to pay close attention to those students who need it. Also, flipped learning allows us to differentiate instruction. So I think it's super important, this combination, because we can tackle all of our learners. Then, let me show you one more. How do I flip my classroom through projects? So you break the project into parts and decide what your students can access individually on their own, through reading, through podcasts, through videos. Yeah, you find that material. Don't forget to have in your mind, the Buck Institute of Education. I'm going to add the link to that blog post. That's a blog post that explains all the different parts, that I briefly explained them, but I think very easy to read that. So, wait a second, I'm posting it on the chat right there. There you go. Yeah, so that's the link. Anyway, if the slides are going to be available for you, you can just grab the links from the slides. Okay, so you ask yourself, what is the best use of my face-to-face class time? What can I take outside of the classroom for students to access on their own? Is it explanations? Is it language? And what do students need me for? I mean, what am I absolutely necessary in the classroom for? So I actually do that with them in the classroom. Yeah, so every person is going to have a different answer to these questions, but the important thing is that you ask those questions yourself every time you're going to flip one of your CLIL lessons. Then, what you do is you have students do the research on their own. You can have, you're going to access different websites. I don't know if you know Khan Academy. If you don't, it's the first one you need to go visit, because Khan Academy is the largest repository of full lessons for flipping your classes in all the areas. They do algebra, they do calculus, they do geography, they do chemistry, physics, etc. You name it. They even have a very strong component on art, so that'll be really nice for you to check. You have Clintondale High School. This is a high school in the United States that has flipped their classes, and they have made all their content available not only for their students, but also for the world. And TED-Ed lessons. I don't know if you're familiar with TED-Ed, but TED-Ed lessons are really robust, they're really well constructed, and materials are based on TED Talks. So they're really good. So for your students, that'll be a great place to start doing the research. Yeah? Level of English varies. There are lessons for beginning in basic and then moving upwards, so no problem. It's available for everybody. Then you can create your own instructional materials. Let's say that you go to Google, you go to YouTube, and you don't find the exact explanation that you want. So you can use Powtoon to make animated movies. You can use Screencast-O-Matic to make screencasts that are very easy. You can just narrate a PowerPoint. You can insert interactivity using EduCanon and Rapture, which now is Play Posit. And you can use Nomia. If you're an iPad user, you can just use Nomia and integrate everything into one place. So you create your instructional material, you give it to students to access on their own. Remember the lower tiers of Bloom's taxonomy, understanding and comprehending. They do at home in their individual space, and you can either curate or create the material for your students. Then, you can search. This is another link that is available there in the slide. You can search for projects that are already made and designed. So in the BIE.org, they have amazing projects for every area of knowledge. I just ran a quick search and I found 36 biology projects for K6. You can find anywhere many things. I'm really glad to be sharing these tools with you, and I really hope that you can take some time after the session to click on the links, to go visit the website, and to start deciding what it is that you are going to do with your own class. Then, what do we do in class? Look at this teacher. I love this picture. It's a teacher that she's aged, and we would say, oh no, this is for the young people. No, this is not.
No,
When you see your students being engaged and active in the classroom, how can you resist? It's for everybody. So if we do flip this, any class can become lively. Any space can become great. So what do we do in class? We once again look at the lens and see what portion of our project we are going to carry out in class. Do we need time in class to reflect? I think we do sometimes. I think we need to teach students how to reflect. They normally don't know, and probably they think they do, but if they have us there with them, we can help them. We can, have class time to critique and revise, because we can teach students, guide them, walk them through the process. For the public product, of course, we need to share our product and in our classroom. So the idea here is for teachers to make decisions. You think, okay, what do I need outside? What do I need in class? And now when you flip, you have time to do that. Yeah? Okay, we can do discussions, experiments, simulations, hands-on work, negotiating, problem solving. For example, if you're doing your magazine, your classroom magazine, you need some class time for negotiation. You need class time for your students to discuss who is going to do the design, who is going to work on the layout of the articles, who's going to do the photography, what design you're going to use. So flipping your CLIL classroom is going to free up time for you to do those things you couldn't do before in class, with you, right there, guiding. So what could I do in class? What do you think you are going to do in class? Can you tell us in the chat box? Okay. Couple of ideas would do good. We have like 7 more minutes. Discuss. Thank you, Maria Paula. Coordinate. Yeah. Thank you, Giovanni. Oh, yes, Fabrizio. Taking advantage of the time to train them to think metacognitively, that's fantastic. Collaborative learning, reasoning, discuss, share, train, share. That's awesome. Reflection. Thank you. Thank you for sharing all of that. Yeah, those are great ideas. Discussing, collaboration, problem solving, sharing and facilitating. Yeah, now we have more time, to do all of that. Okay, so some affordances of Flip and CLIL. We have more time for collaboration, problem solving, and thinking in class. There is less for lecturing, optimization of homework. We have the ability to use information from the web. We have authentic language models, subject matter content, like through Khan Academy and other websites. And we have more time to try new things. I think that is the highlight, the best highlight of flipping your CLIL classroom. Now, what are some constraints? Where there are some constraints? Video production is time consuming, yeah? video curation or finding is also time consuming. So you're going to spend some time, looking for the perfect video for your lesson, for your project, but it's worth it. Student self-direction is necessary. Yes, someone mentioned in the chat that the students didn't like flipping. Of course, because they are used to being passive learners. So we have to little by little change them, train them and help them flip it around. So that's why one suggestion would be do not flip your entire class right away. Start little by little, so they don't feel the, like super big change. Parent involvement to understand the new methodology. We need the whole society to understand what we're doing. We need our administrators, we need our coordinators, our supervisors, we need the parents, we need everyone to understand that what we're doing is going to be beneficial for students. Anyway, parents, students, everyone is used to something, like the typical kind of lesson. So when we start flipping things around, of course, they are going to resent it. So we have to be very careful and involve them in the process. You could even flip, the parents' meeting. You can send home a video explaining the project and what you are trying to do. And then when they come to you, to the parents' meeting, they can ask you questions about it. So the sky is the limit. Students' access to technology at home is necessary. However, if you don't have that, there are different things you could do. You can have DVDs. You can record CDs or DVDs with the videos for your students to watch at home in your DVD player. If you have problems of connection at school, you can flip with no technology. You can flip with reading. You can flip with posters. You can flip with books, textbooks, etc. Yeah. Teacher's mind shift is necessary. So if you want to do this, you need to let go. You need to get ready for a little chaos. You need to get ready for a little mess. You need to get ready for fighting different resources, yeah, and to find new ways of doing things. So these are some constraints, but they are still workable. We can still work around. Okay, thank you, everyone. I have 3 minutes, so if there are any questions, you can. Oh, I need to go back to that slide because I want to invite you to follow me on Twitter at @Buitrago. I post the things that happen in my classroom. I have a blog, and I usually write about what's going on in my classroom and how I flipped and how I did and what my students did. And, it's something that I like to do to share with the community. So please follow me on Twitter and follow my blog so, you can share with me some of these experiences. It was a pleasure to be here. Thank you very much. My pleasure.
Thank you, Carolina. Yeah, we're very sorry for the technical problems we had today. I don't know, just, was, but everything, was clear anyway, and inspiring, and of course, our teachers will find you again in the forum in week 5, so you'll have the opportunity to maybe explain in deeper things and to give more explanations and answer their questions and their doubts. So thank you, Carolina. Double thank you for the forum and for the webinar. Great pleasure and privilege for us. And speak soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, Leticia, for the invitation, and I can wait for week 5.
Wonderful.